Hello, friends. Motivational strategies and changing trends. Under this podcast series, this is next episode. Let's start. One of the ways to keep the team motivated is to stay continuously or very regularly engaged with them. We have to stay connected with them. The frequency should be minimum daily, or it could be more than that. Duration could be a minute or even less. Staying continuously engaged and connected refreshes the mind, increases the productivity, increases the coherence and the camaraderie in between the team. What are the ways to stay connected? Storytelling, especially the shorter ones, is the best. Those motivational short stories has immense impact. In my previous episodes, you have observed when I was talking about motivation or leadership, I always gave three examples, or most of the time. Those were my favorites: King Alexander, the great assimilator. Second, Genghis Khan, whose ambitions was almost limitless, or sky was the limit for him. And third was the Christopher Columbus, which shows that sometimes you need to be crazy, which is okay if you're achieving your dreams. In this episode, I'm going to try something different. I will tell different stories. If you like it, let me know. Let's start. Long time ago, there was a fierce war. The two warring parties fought, everywhere bloodshed and the corpses. War was over and whoever survived left. In the next day morning, amongst all the still bodies, one still have life. He was able to move. He regained the consciousness. He woke up. Surprisingly, he saw the guy next to him was also conscious. But that guy was from the opposing army. So they both might have fought yesterday. Today they were both totally wounded. They got up, they found friendship in between them. Humanity kicked in. They started helping each other. They got up, they found something, some food, water, and they were able to survive. They tried to walk. One of the soldiers said, "Friend, you are in my territory. I will, let's go to my place. We will live together." The guy agreed. They started walking, even though they are wounded. The guy who was offering to come with him was very badly wounded, and it became worse and worse. It was apparent that now he cannot survive. So when the last moment came, he told, "My friend, it looks like I cannot survive or I cannot see anybody again. Can you please do one thing for me?" Even though the time duration which both know each other was very small, and even though they were from opposing armies, the great bond has formed between them. The other soldier agreed. He said, "Okay, tell me." He wanted to hear his last wish. The dying friend said, "Can you please do the prayer on me, and my church will be nearby. We are in my territory. Can you please take me there? And I want to be buried in my church place, in that cemetery. The friend agreed, and after that, the guy closed his eyes. Friend felt so sorry, even for somebody he fought, but it was a very sad moment. He carried his body and then walked, even though he himself was wounded. He went, and after that, he saw a church nearby. The church was surrounded by the fence. The guy went there. There were some people from the church. They inquired, "What are you doing?" He said, he explained that the friend has died, and can you please say the prayer, and then we want to bury him inside the cemetery. Those people saw the gown or the coat he was wearing was from the opposing army. They had questions. They denied. They said, "We don't know. We cannot take him inside." He pleaded, "That was my friend's last wish. Can you please, can you please say prayer on him, and then I want to bury him in the cemetery." The door was closed. He couldn't do anything. The day was closing, so he took, and whatever way he had, he dug a grave and then put his friend. He put a marker, some 3 stones on the grave up, and he left. He left to his place. He never forgot that his friend. 1 year left. He was still remembering his friend. And then when the Memorial Day came, he thought of, let's go and see. He wanted to see his friend resting place. At this time, he only had flowers with him. He came, he saw that the church and then all the surrounding. He tried to find where he had buried his friend. But he couldn't. All the ground was plain. He took a circle around, but no, he couldn't see anything. How that's possible? That he had a very clear marker. Those 3 stones were very different. But there was no sign of anything. Suddenly, he had a tap on his shoulder, and when he saw a very gracious man with a beautiful smile on his face, the love was pouring from his eyes. He immediately understood he is the father of the church. Father inquired, "Son, are you looking for something?" He said, "My friend was buried here somewhere, and I'm not able to find where the resting place is." Father said, "Are you sure you did here?" He said, "Absolutely yes, here, but I couldn't see anywhere. I had 3 marker stones there." Father said, "Well, then something might have happened, but nobody came here. Okay, look, you look like tired. Can you please accompany us for the mass today, and can you stay with us?" The guy agreed. They went in, they opened the door, gate, and then went in. What a surprise! He saw those 3 marker stone and the grave he dug inside the fence. He kept on looking. Father asked, "Are those the stones are you looking for?" Friend said, "Yes, yes, Father, those are the stones I placed last year. But they were outside the fence. What happened? How did this happen? My friend was refused to be buried inside." Father's voice was so calm, and the love and compassion just poured through his voice. He said, "My son, I know you must have buried your friend outside the fence. But the fence is not a constant. Fence can walk. Fence has crossed. And your friend is inside. Look, your friend is inside." Story finishes. But see how inspirational it is. Sometimes we have the boundaries between us and we couldn't cross. We couldn't reach anywhere. We say there is a deadlock everywhere. But when we are in that situation, sometimes the boundaries themselves can cross, or the deadlock becomes undead and lock the things. It's all possible. That's the most inspirational and motivational in the morning if you want to tell somebody. All right, let's go few other short stories. I have told the story of Genghis Khan. If I say now in between the audience, Genghis Khan, who knows him? All the eyes, all the hands will go up, I can tell you. Everybody knows that. Now let me tell another name. And I want to know what it is. Okay, let's start. I am going to say Attila. Do you want to hear again? Attila. Tell me what you understood about it. I can tell you very few hands will go up to know what that it is. The difference is when I say Genghis Khan, all the hands went up. Almost all hands went up. When I say Attila, almost no hands goes up. But now let me tell you that story. The story of that man named Attila. Attila the Hun. He was from a Central Asian tribe which used to be housing around the Caspian Sea. And they were the constant warring tribes. Attila was one of them. But he has shown such a great leadership and the negotiations and military power in the region which is today's Romania and Hungary. It was even praised by Roman Pope. If you know how the word Hungary, the country's name Hungary has come, that is from his name. Hun, from his tribe, Hun, Hungary. And even there's a river called Buda that has Central Asian origin. That's what some experts says. So the capital name Budapest, the first word that name of capital is comprising of two rivers, Buda and Pest. And the name Buddha has come from the Central Asian tribes. That's some experts says that. And the name Hungary of that region or that principality at that time has come because of the Attila the Hun. But not many people know it. Or not many people even know his name. It is very, very inspirational. Sometimes when we don't know certain things, certain stories, because we are always used to know the inspirational stories which are very common, we always hear about it. But these are the ones which I'm trying to tell because not many heard about it. And when we understand about it, when we try to know more about it, it's very inspirational. Okay. So point is somebody has a very humble background and warring background, but they could create such a great impact. Let's take one more example. If I say, now I'm to say a word called Vandal. I know you will laugh or you will have a question mark. What's this vandalism we are talking about? So yes, the vandalism word come from the tribe called Vandals, and their warfare techniques was referred as vandalism. So which was very negative commotions. We are not talking about that. But those were also a warring Central Asian tribes, and they crossed the entire European continent, which were so sophisticated weaponry, and those people did not were not spreading any religion or anything. There was no religious motivation, but they still could cross the entire European continent, won several wars, and reach up to North African continent. They created several cities. If you know city called Marrakesh, that has been uh, expert has said that that city was uh, initially developed by them. So the point of motivation, what we are trying to understand is, even humble background or something, we still people can still make a great impact. So those are the two. Other than that, we are not going into other negative emotions about that. We are just trying to talk or focus about the motivation. All right. So in this today's episode, I will tell one more story as well. So which is probably well known, but I will mention it. We know King Alexander, and we know Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte. Who can forget that? Who doesn't know his name? And we almost know the story. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on an island called Corsica, which is lying between the Italian peninsula and the France. His family actually belongs to the Italian heritage. When France invaded and won Corsica, Napoleon's father was actually part of revolutionary army. But later things changed, and Napoleon actually joined to French army and pledged his allegiance. He was an ordinary soldier in the artillery division and placed in the Mediterranean. At that time, what was the situation? We know French Revolution, who can forget? Everything around the continent were all powerful kingdoms, but French Revolution overthrew the King Louis, and we know that story. Robespierre, Rousseau, Voltaire, those trio changed the thing. They brought the directories, and then it was such a great revolution. The directors were running the country, and then things keeps on changing. That's not the point of discussion. After that, what happened? Again, kingdom came, and who was the emperor this time? It was Napoleon. How? I mean, those who understand the hereditary in the royal structure, and especially French kingdom was one of the biggest kingdom. So somebody rose into that power. So it is a very, very great inspirational and motivational. That's what we are talking about. I am just going to talk about some very brief story about it. When he was in Mediterranean placed, he was placed in Mediterranean. He was in the command of the Egyptian expedition, and he learned several things in the. He assimilated literally. He learned the Egyptian arts, culture, even the magic, and literally the same way King Alexander was assimilated and created his impact. Same way. That was even it was such a great impact that at that time the Ottoman Empire, who was in charge of that land, they were also taken back because of that, and that rose him to the biggest power. Even after that, he had to create such a great political decisions and uh, negotiations to reach, and he would have gone through. We know all that story, and he reached to the emperor. It was such a great inspiration. Even after he became the emperor and he made a mark on the history of the world, but he never forgot his humble roots. He will always call himself a humble soldier. When there are wars are going on, especially in the night, he will take a ride between the tents of the soldier, even though it's a freezing cold outside. Any ordinary soldier can expect the emperor in his tent and have a beer with him. or they will have a friendly tap with him. That's the thing what I would like to explain, or that's the inspiration, or that's the motivation. That's what is the part of the story I wanted to tell today. All right. I guess this today's episode was a little different structure. I told the scattered stories, and I was trying to say that during the day, it's not necessary we have to be continuously engaged on the same topic. We can have some different topics and get a simple touch, simple high. I will tell you that will refresh your mind, freshen up, and when the mind is freshen up, it's the its efficiency is great. We love the work what we do when we share, understand, discuss. Self-actualization in the Maslow's theory, that's what we get going. When we have self-actualization, that means resonance, that means symphony, that means the greatest throughput. If you like it, let me know. Thank you.